Hello, everyone. Welcome to the new episode of Professionals Unplugged. I am your host, Utkarsh Shukla, and let me introduce you to my guest, Ashima. Ashima, thank you so much for joining in.
Thank you so much for having me here, Utkarsh. It's an absolute pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So let's start with a very basic question. Can you please introduce our audience to yourself, like who you are, what work you do, anything you want us to know about you?
Sure. So, my name is Ashima Gogia, and I'm a lawyer. I'm currently working in-house for a company, but before this, I was associated with a few law firms. Started with general corporates, but eventually moved into becoming an employment lawyer. And I have been in an in-house role since the last now nearly 10 years.
That's really nice. So for
Yeah.
last 10 years, you have been associated with one organization only?
Yes, the same organization. So I joined when the organization was merely starting up. So I was really lucky to be able to see the journey since 2015 when we got a banking license. So we are actually a bank in the UK and we have a global capability center here in India. So I joined in June 2015 and we got our license in September 2015. So I've seen the journey from like I was the seventh employee in the India office and now we are nearly 700 globally. So I've seen the journey from 7 to 700 and it's been extremely exciting.
That's really nice. And can you just enlighten us about your journey as well? Like how you became a lawyer and what was the main reason behind it?
Sure. So since childhood, I've been very fascinated by the legal profession, and I really enjoy, and I used to really enjoy reading John Grisham novels, watching, courtroom dramas. But when the time actually came to make, career choices, I also come from a family wherein either you're an engineer or you're a doctor. Or you become an academician. So my parents were of the opinion that law is not a profession that one should pursue. They really wanted me to pursue one of the science professions, but I didn't really have an inclination for it. I eventually took up commerce, went to do economics honors in my undergrad, and then did an MBA. Thereafter I got placed in ICICI Prudential. It was the insurance wing, ICICI, yeah, which is the life insurance wing. So life insurance had privatized in the year 2000 in India, and 2003 is when I joined ICICI Prudential. It was absolutely wonderful because, there was so much to learn. And ICICI is anyways a company which is extremely aggressive and fast paced. However, I realized that that's not really where my heart lies. I wanted to do something in law. And luckily for me, I took the exam. Delhi University also gives you an option to pursue law while you're working. So I pursued law in Law Center too. And in 2007, I graduated, and since then, I've been in the profession.
That's really nice. So you said like you became a lawyer by 2007, and from 2015 you have been serving for the in-house firm, right? So
Correct.
can you just help us with knowing the difference, how an in-house firm is different between practicing it for a corporate ones, right? So, or both of
Sure.
them same.
No, no, they're not the same. So I think the big difference is the difference of breadth and depth. In a law firm, you are servicing multiple clients. So there is a wide range of issues that you sort of service them on. And because it's multiple, so like the breadth of your advice is really wide. However, in in-house, it's like you're servicing internal stakeholders. So it's the depth. You know your business really well. It's also about preempting the risk. If they're starting, for instance, a new business line, if they're starting, say, if they're rolling out a new equity incentive plan for for the employees. So trying to preempt what are the gaps that we need to plug, and then making sure that you work closely with the various business stakeholders to to make sure that everything's compliant. So it's actually the difference between servicing one client and, of course, various stakeholders in that client vis-a-vis servicing multiple clients like you do in a law firm.
Correct. And if I ask you about lawyer, like the image that comes up to my mind is generally a person wearing a black coat or someone like Harvey Specter going to a law
Yeah.
cases, right? So how is this role different from both of them? Or if some,
Right.
or just let me reframe this. If someone like new who is not pretty much known to law, okay, I know lawyers of two types. I just told you, right? So
Yeah.
define the different parameters of lawyers that exist.
Sure. So there are mainly two branches. One is litigating lawyers, and the other one are corporate lawyers. So litigating lawyers are really, like you had said, the people in black coats who go and represent and fight cases in courts. Corporate lawyers are more around contracts and, sort of plugging the risk in various contracts to ensure that it doesn't ever go to court. Or if it does go to court, then, it's to your advantage. The language is such that the court interprets it to your advantage. So litigating lawyers, for instance, could be, like they could have sub branches, criminal lawyers, civil, family, all of that. Corporate lawyers, for instance, are lawyers that help with the mergers and acquisitions, listing of companies, making sure that your compliances are in place with respect to whatever regulation you're required to comply with. So that's the second branch, and that's what I'm a part of mostly.
Yeah, I think that clears my doubt now,
Yeah.
how there
Yeah.
are different segregation among them. You said you work for one of the leading banks in UK, right? So fintech is pretty much very evolving industry nowadays, right? Everyone wants to jump into fintech and know how much money these fintechs are making, right? So do you think there is a very rapid change in the regulatory and the compliance of the same? Like, how do you see this thing?
So of course, there are changes happening now, especially with AI. There are the regulatory landscape will change. It's evolving. I think with AI, we are all learning what the risks of AI are. The biggest risk in my mind is cyber and data. With so much information getting fed into the systems, how the system trains itself, there is, of course, a risk of, breach, which is really, really big, right? So much data goes into our servers, our clouds. So what if something goes wrong that from there? So I think there are regulations. We already have, data protection legislations in place. AI legislations are also evolving. So it's a very interesting time, and both for fintech and generally in the world around AI. So let's see. It's time. It's wonderful that we are a part of this change. We are living through this metamorphosis. I'm really glad. But we'll only find out and we'll only learn as things sort of become clearer. At the moment, it seems it's a little hazy.
Right. Coming to the AI only, like, do you guys are pretty much using AI in your day-to-day lives in legals as well? Or if yes, then what are the tools you guys are using?
Sure. So I think we are, of course. I don't think you can, at today's day and age, and especially the organization that I'm a part of, AI is a very important part of our growth journey now going forward. So in today's day and age, you cannot be away from AI in any way. So yes, we are using the Chat GPT, Claude, all of these things for not so much research because we do understand that there are problems of hallucination, but we use them to generate, say, the first draft of an agreement. If there is some very basic question, I think the way currently ChatGPT and Claude and all of these things are being used is to be dominant is like a assistant for you. You want to start somewhere, that assistant gives you a basic as to where you should start from. So that's one thing. We're also trying to figure out if we can automate some, the review of some very low risk documents, such as NDAs and engagement letters. The journey is on. We've not reached that part where we can say, okay, the machine can handle everything. Honestly, I think that is also a few years away, maybe. And I also am not convinced that whether AI will be able to take the judgment calls that a human being takes. But I feel that the journey that I've seen in the last 1.5, 2 years is that the output from AI, the tool ChatGPT has improved substantially. So the going forward, I'm pretty sure the output will keep getting better, and it will be able to sort of reduce human effort, if not to 100%, like I said, because judgment and all we still will have to take, but say about 50 to 60%. I'm hoping that in the next 2 years we will be able to see that kind of a shift. So it
Right.
will augment, the work we do substantially.
Correct. And talking about, like you mentioned about AI being getting used in law, right? So have you guys also tried to see if it can give you examples of past cases happened on the same thing you guys are searching on? Like,
Yes, absolutely. So we have done research, but
yeah,
like I said, there is a lot of news around how AI has given incorrect citations,
right.
incorrect cases. I'm told recently there was a case that went to the Supreme Court, and it turned out that the citations in that particular argument were wrong. And so those risks are there. also the work that we do in-house so much, it doesn't really require us to, research a lot on previous case law. Like I said, it's more around contracts. But from what I'm understanding, the research part of AI still has to, still has some evolution to undergo. And that's something that a lot of companies are working on. And let's see how it works and how it goes.
Right. I think there was also one example that the RPM has mentioned, like it can't generate an image of a person writing with left hand, right? So somehow it's a data biased thing, right? So,
Maybe, yeah, yeah, because the models train on the information
right.
that you are putting in. So if if it's from a particular country or particular location on the globe, I'm pretty sure those biases will be there.
Right. And talking about your entire journey till now from 2007 to 2015, to 2025 as a lawyer, right? So, what were the biggest challenges that you think you have faced till now?
Uh, Challenges in the profession, I wouldn't really say that there have been many. It's been a pretty interesting, and like I said, I've enjoyed every part of it. The one big challenge that I can think of was that, in 2010, my husband got posted to Africa. He picked up a job. And the thing with the legal profession is that it's very jurisdiction specific. You are only to qualified to practice law in your particular country where you are registered in the bar and where you've sort of done your qualifications from. And we were not even in an English speaking part of Africa. We were in Angola, which is a Portuguese speaking part of Africa, and it is a civil law country. So, I mean, I've always wanted to work. And when I reached there, I realized it's not going to be so easy for me to be able to find a job. But, and I was extremely miserable. I didn't want to, first, I didn't want to move. Then I reached there and I realized there are no opportunities for me. But I think gradually I realized that, constantly fighting with my situation is not going to help. And it's only when I sort of, again, it sounds so preachy, but it's true. That's only when I actually embraced change that magic happened. I found a job in a law firm, though, of course, not as a lawyer because I wasn't qualified to practice there. Plus, I also had language constraints. But they wanted an English speaking person to be a part of their customer service department. It was an IP law firm. And they needed, so they had people writing to them from across the globe because, the trademarks get registered globally in so many, so for so many companies. And they needed somebody who could read and write English to be able to respond to those emails that came from their clients. So though in a law firm, but not the job of a lawyer, but at the same time, when I look back now, I think the years that we spent in Africa were probably the best in terms of exposure, in terms of it's only when you step out of your country do you realize that the world is actually a melting pot of so many cultures, so many people, so many different kind. And I've always lived in Delhi. So for me, it was a great experience. The travel, but sort of seeing wildlife in the most raw form in Africa. So all of those. But what I want to sort of tell the audience is that you have to be okay to change for you to be able to make these kind of experiences. And the challenge eventually became a huge opportunity for me
Right.
when I sort of, started welcoming it.
Right. So, I think the main key takeaway I can have from your journey is you need to be opportunist.
Maybe. Yes, you have to be able to seize the moment.
Right. And if I ask you, like, what are the advice, or if you can help other people who are watching this in your entire journey, what are the things that you follow in your day-to-day life? Maybe advice you like to give to the younger audience.
So I think the most important thing is that you need to one thing is to be technically good at what you're doing, which is, I think, a non-negotiable. You need to sort of continuously learn and grow
Mm.
in whatever, you're doing. The other thing is also very important to work on your soft skills. Your relationship with people, especially if you're in an in-house role, because you can't be sitting in one corner in one desk and just doing your work. It's very important to speak to your stakeholders, understand what is it that they need, help them out when they need, so that tomorrow when you are in a problem, they are also going to be stepping up and helping you. So I think that's one very important part of the journey, which so many people think that, okay, we are lawyers, we're technically really good at what we are doing, and that's it. But the other, what's got you here is not going to get you there. I'm a very strong believer of that. So to be able to jump and to get to the next level, it's very important to have good interpersonal relations.
Correct.
And of course, continue your whatever you're reading, you're studying with respect to the profession, that's like I said, non-negotiable.
Right. And what's next for you? Like you are following your dream job right now and working as a lawyer. So do you still have anything that you want to achieve in your life? I know in terms of professional, you might have like for your firm, but as an individual, if I want to ask you what it will be.
Of course, as a professional, I want to continue to work. I am not somebody, who's saying, okay, fine, now at 55, I will retire. I'm not that person. I want to work till the time I'm actually, my health allows me to. In fact, I'm hoping that, till the last day, and continue to grow. I find it very gratifying to work, to do what I just don't treat it as a job. I think of it as something that I'm really passionate about. Personally, yes, most certainly. I think, Utkarsh, we are a very privileged part of the society, I feel, in terms of, our parents have been kind enough to give us the right kind of education. Life has given us very good opportunities, but not everybody is in that same space. So my husband and I are associated with a school for the underprivileged called Diksha. It's again not as much as we would want to be, but it's run by one of my school teachers. She used to teach me when I was in school, and I think she's doing a fabulous job. She's an inspiration for so many of us. So I hope that as time goes by, I'm able to contribute more meaningfully, financially as well as with respect to my time to the school.
That's really nice of you. And talking about ethical things, like you just mentioned, right? It's important to help other thing as well. Do you think, or there must be scenarios? I'm not talking about specific cases because that will be confidential to you. But do you ever feel like there is a scene in your life where a case has come to you, and it is not going to your ethics, but you need to serve the client? How how do you deal in such situation?
I'm working for an in-house like I'm working in-house now, and like I said, there is only one client, and most of these companies, which are multinationals, they're extremely strong on their ethics and their compliances because I guess that's really a very important foundation, and it's mostly a top-down approach. When you see the C-suite completely very focused on ensuring that everything's right, every box is ticked, it's not so hard. I mean, I can't think of I don't think there has been a situation where this kind of a conflict has happened, especially because I work for a company which is headquartered in the UK. I'm not in any way saying that, companies which are headquartered elsewhere, this kind of thing might, but I think my general understanding is for multinational companies, compliance with regulation, making sure you're on the right side of law, ensuring that all boxes are ticked, every form is filed, every channel is completely ethical, is very high on the priority list. And I'm glad that I'm a part of a setup which is like that.
That's really nice. But I'm asking you, like, suppose you are in a situation like this. Forget about the firm, right? If someone say who wants to be a lawyer or who is a lawyer, right? He wants to understand how he or she should deal in such a situation. How will you help them?
Listen, I think it's a non-negotiable, like I said, kind of a thing. You have to comply with the law. There is, I don't even think it's okay to tread on the gray area. So I'm extremely conservative from that perspective. But having said that, I'm pretty sure there are ways to figure out if things can be done in a legally compliant fashion, at the same time get the job done. But I don't really have anything beyond this to say.
That's nice. So thank you so much, Ashima. I think it was really a wonderful experience and time just flew away. So thank you so much for your insights, and we hope you do pretty well with the ethical work that you are trying to do, and wish you a lot of success.
Thank you so much, Utkarsh. It's been an absolute pleasure and an honor to be here. Thank you.
Thank you.